Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Talk with Chuck. Again, this is just a podcast slash talk show where, I started it just as a chance to get out of my own head, an opportunity to just kind of share some positive stuff into the world for the first time since COVID. Um, and then it's kind of grown into some other things. But basically, what we do during this time period is we go and we read some good news stories, we read some interesting and fun facts, and then we just chat and talk about some of the fun things or some interesting things in life that are fun to talk about. So again, thank you for tuning in. For everybody on YouTube, remember to watch, like, and subscribe for more content like this if you like it, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, so the first thing that I usually do for this is I go to Good News Network and I pull up an article to talk about, and we just read a couple of those. So this first one I saw is the first one on the list, and it's actually pretty timely for everybody right now. It's about basically the title is, as you can see, if you feel like things are falling apart, they're probably actually coming together. So most of us don't relish change, and we'd rather remain stuck inside of a cocoon than fly like a butterfly. This excerpt from Tama Keeves from her recent book Thriving Through Uncertainty, Moving Beyond Fear of the Unknown and Making Change Work for You, is meant to help you see that another world is available to you. All you have to do is let go. There is no other world. We have all sung this dirge in one form or another. There is no love for me outside this loveless message, or loveless marriage. There is no money for me beyond this draining career. There's no way to have things fall together now, because if they were supposed to come together, they would have. I must be riding on a rickshaw while everyone else has caught the plane. It takes an enormous amount of courage to believe that things can be different, or that there is a life beyond what you can see or even imagine, or a you that is whole and inspired. I can tell you, I don't know about you guys lately, but I have felt this way, especially this line right here. There's no money for me beyond this draining career. That is one of the things that hit me the hardest when I read this the first time. Um, and so, yeah, I have caught myself saying these exact same things. So, again, it's just, uh, it's so easy to get caught in that mentality. So, anyway, there is no other world, says your fear. And to this I say with great deference to your pain, poppycock, whatever that actually means. Change is always what's for dinner. Buddha said that all suffering stems from trying to hold on to your chocolate mousse. Well, he didn't say that. He said we try to make things permanent, but the nature of reality is fluid. Real life cracks open, breathes, disintegrates, and expands. It always expands, even when we feel like things are stuck or going in the wrong direction. Life is designed to shimmy. We are designed to let go of our lobster shells and grow into new ones. Your true happiness does not come from a stable stock market, a feast of jobs or potential relationships, or climate control. It's about learning how to thrive in the times when you lack control. Hey, what's up, Phil? Boys and girls, we live in dynamic times. We are all dynamos. We're being we're being roused into our powers. The voice of eternity within us demands to be heard, says the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard, and take a hearing for it, and make a hearing for itself, and makes use of a loud voice of affliction. And when the aid of affliction or irrelevant voices are brought to silence, it will be heard. That's a high class way of saying that pain can awaken you to your big picture life, and the only relevant voice there is your true self. How are we doing this morning, Phil? We're just on the first article right here on Good News Network, and it's about adapting to change. I don't know, it just kind of hit home when I saw it this morning. So you are not the erratic conditions of this moment. You are a powerhouse. You are a continuous force of evolution. You are a phenomenon, a surprise even to yourself. An inspired life is more than the life you planned. This is the nature of thriving. There's an orchestration, a calculation, sometimes an ambush, yet always an intelligence fueling the chaos. I never imagined that my life would get so out of control, but I found myself sitting at a beach in Northern California staring at waves, thinking about taking my own life. I couldn't bear to practice law for one more day. I could not let myself quit. Just the week before, I couldn't summon my usually ferocious willpower and write the brief in front of me. There was some other will going on now. I was so tired, fighting myself all the time. I hate this job. You have to stay in this job. The boxing match that never ended. I thought I was being practical. I thought I was being strong. I look back now, years later, and realize I was fighting against a tidal wave. I was pushing back the hunger to live my full expression and the most amazing awakening that has ever happened to me. I was resisting my true life. Yeah, I was with Bello there at one point too. He had a long night. But let's see. I came home from California a mess. A few weeks later, I walked out of my career without a plan or viable source of income. It was an end and a beginning. Years later, now in a life where I have taught so many others to awaken their inspired lives, I can't imagine that I could have ever chosen another life. A life that denied my creativity, my essence, my life's purpose, and the wildest happiness I've ever known. But I try to hold on to what I knew at the time. We all do. That's something I've caught myself in right now, too. So, we all have a true life, the life that does not look like our plans, yet perhaps arises from a deeper wisdom within. This other intelligence sweeps past our conditioning and defies our expectations of how things should go. This life brings us to a surrender or acceptance even when we do not yet understand what's going on. This life brings us to the truth of our bones. The true life always prevails. The soul's desires are formidable. I've seen brilliant transformations in people who have faced addictions, health issues, or the death of a loved one. I've seen these shifts in those who seek to express their life's work or experience true love. Whatever the situation, the shift is always the same. You can't do what you've always done, and then over time you can do what you've never done. And always in the end, you wouldn't go back for anything. This is the gift of uncertain times. Know that it's a strength to be undoing that which no longer works for you. Yes, even when you think it does. Undoing is progress, not mayhem. A mother doesn't have to understand or even trust the birth process to give birth. Your next expression wants to be born. Great and mighty forces marshal their strength around you. It's your time. You are uncovering a new way to breathe and feel safe in the world, even though you can't imagine it. Change may wear a wolf suit. Still, don't be fooled. It's wild, abundant magic come knocking on your door. So that was Tama. What's her full name? Or is she one of those people that goes by with one name? Anyway, so that was by Tama and GNN founder Jerry Wise Corbly. So hang on, it says Tama Keeves. So a little background on her. Honors graduate of Harvard Law School. She left her law practice to write and help others create their most extraordinary lives. So, yeah, pretty empowered. Oh, man, we already got another bot. These bot guys are getting crazy. All right, let's see. What can I do here? And you're gone. Boom. That's 2 in a row, Phil. I had one last night, too. But yeah, I don't know, man. Something about that article today, this is something I've been struggling with lately. You know, my career, I've worked really hard at it, and unfortunately, I'm one of those people that I struggle sometimes with work-life balance. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly, Phil. They're just trying to help me, right? Um, but yeah, something I struggle with, is my career lately has been very taxing in regards to how much it is requiring of me and how little I enjoy it. And so the wording right here that really hit home for me is there's no love for me outside this loveless marriage. There's no money for me beyond this draining career. And that's the thing. You get caught in this, like, you hate what you're doing, right? But it's supposed to be a means to an end, right? You keep doing it because it's a means to an end. It's going to help you get to that next step or that next whatever. And then you go in and you keep doing it and you keep doing it. It keeps taking more and more out of you. And then you get to a point where you're like, well, I've come so far in this. There's nowhere else I could go. And that's literally a conversation I've had in the last 2 weeks, is that I don't like this. I don't want to do this anymore, but there's nowhere else for me to go and do this and make what I make. And that hit home to me real hard there, right? Because I don't know how many of you are in the same boat of just like, either if you love your job, then wonderful. If you hate your job and you want to do something else, or you just feel like you're in quicksand, right? That was the explanation I gave to someone the other day when I was talking about it, was that it's like being in quicksand. The more you move, right? The more you try to fight and get out, the deeper you sink. So then you just sit and you settle, right? So you don't sink anymore. But you're still stuck in the quicksand. You can't get out. So now you're just sitting there hoping and praying that something comes by and pulls you out of it, or a plane flies overhead and sees you and pulls you out of it. But you can't really do much more than that, right? Because you're in the quicksand. And so that was the explanation that I gave to somebody. And, and I've seen a lot of people all over, me included, right? I've gone through the same thing with streaming and everything, is that there's so many things you want to do in your life, and you just can't ever seem to find enough time to be able to do them all, right? Like, for people who stream, they want to be a streamer, they want to be able to do all that stuff. Then they also want to work. They've got a career or a full-time job outside of that to fund the streaming. You've also got a family probably that you need to be able to spend time with and do things with. And then you need some time just for yourself to do what you want to do or to have fun. And it just seems like between COVID and everything else that's going on in the world, sometimes it's hard to accomplish that. It's hard to do that. And so, again, I am on a journey of trying to figure out my own path through it. But if any of you guys feel the same way out there, um, this article was actually helpful in that change is a factor of life, whether we like it or not. And I am the first person to admit that I despise change. I like the original, but I'm also a realist, and I understand that change is going to be a fact of life. And so we need to learn to adapt to it, evolve to it, and shift and mold to it. And to be cliche, right? Wasn't it Bruce Lee that said, be like water, right? Water is soft, malleable, moldable, but also too can be firm, strong, and can destroy whole worlds. So, again, try to be like water. But anyway, let's see what else we got. So Goldie Hawn is doing mindfulness lessons to kids and their parents online for free. Looks like a vaccine alliance raises $2 billion to buy COVID shots for poor nations. Well, here's the thing, right? Well, no, I'm going to stay positive with this. I'm not gonna go down that road. Any other thing? That's kind of interesting. While excavating a 1,000-year-old Viking ship, Norwegians find remnants of an elite society. Let's take a look at that real quick. So this might be over by Zatla's. Yeah, it's not too far from Zatla. All right, so the area surrounding I can't even pretend to pronounce that, something Viking ship burial in Norway was found to contain an extensive and traditional funerary, feasting, and religious complex of outstanding significance, ground-penetrating radar scans revealed. The finds transformed the understanding of the site as one containing an isolated grave to represent the regional center of Viking high society. So the remains of 3 longhouses, a feasting hall, 13 smaller burial grounds, and a temple were all identified sitting in the field around the Hjelmound. Hjelmound? I don't know how to pronounce that. The second largest known funerary earthen mound in Norway, and one that was first used as high society burial site in 550 CE, around the fall of the Western Roman Empire. So, I don't know. It looks kind of interesting. But yeah. All right, let's take a look here. We already looked at most of these yesterday. So let's transition over to gaming and video and movies. Ubisoft drops achievements from the Ubisoft launcher for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Let's take a look at this since Elephant and I were talking about this just the other day. Ubisoft is removing its standalone achievements from its own launcher, starting with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Eagle eyed players noticed that achievements which were available in the recently released Watch Dogs Legions were missing when it became apparent that there was no tab for achievements on the Valhalla page in the Ubisoft Connect. After fans reached out to the official Ubisoft forum for answers, the support team initially said that the missing Ubisoft Connect achievements was unintended and the team was actively working to enable achievements. It is fascinating. There's a whole underground cult of people that are just all about the achievements and achievement hunting and completionist. And so I can imagine that was a game changing moment for them when you couldn't get any. So yeah, that probably played a huge factor. Um, let's see what else we got. Justice League Snyder Cut. Honk Untitled Goose Game has come to Fall Guys. Oh my god. They put. Look at this, guys. So, you know, the Goose Game, if you don't know what that is, it's basically like where there's this goose that you have to accomplish certain tasks and you have to steal certain things, right? It's a very low end game, but it's become super popular, like a lot of different games these days. But it looks like now they have taken the skins from that game and they have put it into Fall Guys. So you can now probably pay $10 and get the goose skin for your little character here. It's pretty ridiculous. I'm absolutely honking ecstatic to announce that we've done a huge collab with the Untitled Goose Game. We've got 3 costumes and a honk emote with sound effects. Oh my god, this is going to be everywhere. Just wait. It will be everywhere. Darkwing. Oh my god, guys, look at this. Darkwing Duck reboot in the works at Disney Plus from Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Disney Plus is set to expand its catalog with a reboot of a classic cartoon. Oh, Darkwing Duck. I used to watch the crap out of that when I was a kid. So it premiered 1991 and ran for 3 seasons, with the last episode airing near the end of 1992. Series generally considered a spin-off of DuckTales, despite creator Tad Stones saying it exists in a separate universe. Dude, I'm excited about that. I think that would be pretty cool. Did you guys chat? Did you guys watch Darkwing Duck? Is that something that you were a part of or no? Because I really enjoyed that as a kid. The soundtrack alone was epic. Typical 1990s. Let's see. All right, Thor: Love and Thunder will bring back Chris Pratt as Star Lord. Apparently, when is this set to release? Do we know? Uh, so apparently they've brought back Natalie Portman to reprise her role. I thought she had a falling out. That's why she was removed from the Marvel franchise. I guess I'm wrong. I got you, Will. Yeah, Darkwing Duck, man. That was the shit for me as a kid. It was Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, Sonic the Hedgehog. There were 2 versions. There was a good one and there was a crappy one. There was the good one was like a melodrama with uh, Sonic fighting against Doctor Robotic, but also there was a knockoff, like really cartoony version that people had. But yeah, my Saturday mornings as a kid, God, there was like 3 hours of just constant the X Men show, cartoon, Spider Man. I mean, we live, and again, you got to think like when I was a kid, this was before we had really like phones and internet that you could just instantly access stuff. So what we would get was a TV guide. Um, Hey, what's up, DeZeus? I haven't seen you forever. Thank you, Will and DeZeus, for tuning in. So Will said apparently Natalie Portman had a falling out because the second Thor movie was so bad they didn't collab very well. But they're bringing her back for the might of. Mighty Thor to be the Mighty Thor. Oh, so they're gonna. Oh, I don't know how I like that. I don't know. I'll give. I'll try to give it a chance. That's the thing, though, is that Natalie Portman seems to be a challenging person to work with because that's not the first group of people that I've heard have had a challenging interaction. She's very unique in a lot of ways about how she goes about doing things in life. So I know she's a very adamant vegan. I think she's a very adamant uh, animal rights supporter. I do believe she's a very, very passionate feminist, but I could be wrong. But anyway, I don't know. We'll see. I'll give it a shot, but I don't know. I don't. When people go full diva mode all the time, it kind of throws me off. See, Ragnarok was good. I enjoyed Ragnarok. Yeah, I picked up Valhalla, um, and I don't know, guys. Have either of you played um, Valhalla recently? The reason I'm asking is, again, I am a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed series. Well, let me clarify, okay? I am a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed series right up until they killed Desmond Miles. Sorry, spoiler alert, but it's been like 20 years. Um, Ever since then, and I was talking to Elephant about this last night, was it the storylines have been disconnected. Um, but I'll tell you, my thing with the Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I got it as part of like a package with my, I think it was my processor, maybe my graphics card. So anyway, I got it, and I played it for the first hour. And I'll tell you, after playing it for the first hour, it's very slow. The story is disjointed and very cliche. And then also to the Viking concept, like I love Vikings. I've watched every Viking show that's out there. I love the concept. I think it's fascinating and it's fun. But the problem is that it's so cliche Viking though. Like they're singing songs, they're being gruff, and I mean it's like literally somebody just watched Vikings that had never that either loved it too much or something, and it was just very. I don't know. I was just I even found myself sitting there going like, okay, we're coming on a little strong with this Viking stuff, right? Like dial it back because not they're not like this all the time. Let's calm down. So I'm gonna keep trying to play it. I'll probably continue to stream it, but I can tell you after playing for about an hour, I did not get enough. It didn't engage me enough to where I wanted to come running back and play it again. If that makes sense. So I don't know. Is it worth picking up? Probably. Is it disconnected from the Assassin series? I don't know. I didn't get far enough to even figure out what the connection was yet. Um, but it's I don't know. I mean, I don't want to ruin the storyline for you, but it's kind of it comes on a little strong with Viking stuff. It's a little cliche, um, and then it just didn't. It was slow and it just didn't engage me enough. I mean, there was not enough. I mean, there's some battle scenes in the beginning, and there's cut scenes every 15 minutes, and that's typical for Assassin's Creed game. But I just never it never built up enough to make me want to keep playing it. And others may disagree, and again, I'm not. This is just my opinion of it. Um, and I needed to give it a fair shake again, so I'll probably play it again and stream it. But yeah, that was my that was my take on it, and I was disappointed. And then the same concept with Cold War. I'm disappointed with Cold War just because honestly, the more people I've talked to about it, the more people I've played with it, it seems like they almost gave it a dialing back, dial down since the beta, right? The beta felt unfinished, and now with the full release of the game, it feels even more unfinished. It's like they just took the stuff. Yeah, Dezeus, that's exactly the gameplay is just it's disconnected. I don't know. You know how like with the Desmond series, it all led up to something, and there was like it was like a movie almost, where everything had a purpose. There was a reason why these things happened, and all led to the conclusion. doesn't hasn't happened in a Assassin's Creed game in forever. Like it's just it doesn't none of it makes sense. And I'm not saying that the other games weren't good. Like I enjoyed Black Flag. Rogue was a little off kilter. Um, they're good games. They're just not connected, and they wouldn't be what I would call an Assassin's Creed game per se. Um, so I don't know. Well, I mean, again, if you, I wouldn't pay full price for it. If if you could find it uh, cheaper somewhere else, that might be the way to do it. But yeah, I'm honestly, guys, I'm really disappointed in games lately because I was waiting for Assassin's Creed to come out. It came out, it just missed the mark. It was not something that I was so excited to play after the first time I played it. Like I haven't played it since, and it's been like 3 or 4 days. That's bad. When a new game comes out, it's supposed to engage you so much that you want to literally keep playing it over and over and over again. And I have felt no desire to continue that. Like the storyline wasn't even engaging enough to even pull me in. And then Cold War, I am trying so hard to make that work, and I'm trying to level it up and do stuff, but it is just not happening. Like it just doesn't get better. It just keeps getting more and more frustrating, and it's just not that good. And I have yet I need to play the campaign, but yeah, well, I'm inclined to agree with you that Cold War. I haven't played Watch Dogs Legion. I think Elephant's been playing it. It seems fascinating, but you know, I played the original Watch Dogs, right? And mind you, there's a lot of controversy around the original Watch Dogs because people went all over the map in regards to what they were promised and what they delivered, and they said they're going to do certain things, and then it all got nerfed, and it was just, all over the map as far as that. That game felt disjointed in that it had the story was not. It's kind of like Assassin's Creed. You're just sitting there and you're playing it and it's doing stuff, and then you're like, what is this doing? Why am I doing this? And stuff. So it was very disconnected, right? So I haven't really felt the urge to pick up any of the other Watchdog games just because of that. But I will say the new Watchdog looks interesting because you can, um, recruit stuff. There's some really cool features with it. I guess my question though is, I'll tell you another example of what it looks like to me. Um, have you ever played Payday, the one where you as a team go and rob banks? Um, I played that years ago, and it had no real storyline to it. It has a bunch of cool features and things you can do, but it had no real storyline. So again, with a game like Watch Dogs, it makes me wonder. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things you can do. You can recruit people, but does the story actually stay true? Like, does it even have a story? Does it have a plot? Because those are the games that I personally enjoy. Are a game that I am playing a movie. Yeah, I'm starting to feel the same way to Zeus, and it's a real shame because all these new games are being launched, and I'll tell you what it really does is it terrifies me in regards to Cyberpunk coming out because they've built it up and they promised so many things, and we've seen so many previews for it. But is it actually going to be the game that we enjoy and want to play, or is it going to be annoying and be missing the mark? So I don't know. I really don't know. It's kind of frustrating though in that regard because there hasn't been a game release that's come out yet that I am like, yeah, that's awesome. That's a good game. I want to keep playing it. Um, I don't know, And then that's the thing too is that there's so many streamers and people that have made their entire thing on games like Call of Duty, but when Call of Duty sucks, what are they gonna do? You know? So I don't know. I don't know the answer. But I can tell you, Cold War is not something that I have. There's not been a moment in it where I'm like, this is amazing and I really enjoy it. And then Assassin's Creed, like I said, I played for an hour, and during that entire time, I never felt like it was something great. So I don't know. Again, it's just my opinion. You know, other people may love it. It may be everything that they wanted for it, but for me, it just missed the mark completely. So I don't know. So yeah, Yeah, I'm growing out my Spanish Viking beard, I guess. That's getting pretty long. I gotta start working on it. But yeah, um, I don't know. It's been interesting. Uh, but how is everybody? How's everybody doing in chat? Jesus, you doing okay? Turtle, yeah, you've got some big life changes coming up. How is everyone? Will, if you're still hanging out, everybody doing okay? Is everybody taking care of yourselves as much as you can during this time period, at least? I'm gonna see. I've got I've got some interviews going. Phil too. Phil, I'm glad you're doing well, man. Good, Turtle. Good. I'm glad everybody's doing okay. Yeah, it's I don't know. These days there's been like an ebb and flow to a lot of stuff, right? Some people are doing great and then they have some stuff happen or COVID throws them a loop and then they just kind of keep, so everybody's kind of hovering back and forth. So just want to make sure everybody's good. I am glad you're all doing well. But let's see. Sorry, one sec. I need to look at something. Yeah, Christmas is coming up. Well, what's the general consensus of that? Do people enjoy Christmas? Is it something that you dread? You know, what's the group consensus on that? Is Christmas something that you really enjoy? Technically, technically, the Americans have Thanksgiving coming up right around the corner here. Christmas started 15 days ago, so you've got your tree up and everything. You're all full full sail. See, when I was a kid, right, the running rule was the day after Thanksgiving is when you set up your Christmas tree. Okay, that was the appropriate amount of time. That was the appropriate amount, thing to where you weren't doing it too early, but the day after Thanksgiving. And our family, right, we had technically, we had two Thanksgivings. We had Thanksgiving Day at my grandparents' house, and then my mom and my brother and sister and I would all make our own Thanksgiving the day after. And that's when we would eat and set up the Christmas tree and do that. Yeah, I think Zeus, that's a good point. I think this year is going to be interesting for a lot of people because, at least in the US, the COVID cases are skyrocketing again. And so they're really advising people not to engage with others outside their immediate home or family unit. So I'll bet a bunch of people say the hell with it and don't do it. But for those of us that follow the rules, it's just going to be like, Christmas is going to be a little bit different this year. I think we got to be real careful and watch people because it's real easy to get bummed out when you can't be around your family. Um, but yeah, let's talk about. Let's see. Hang on, where was that? So, what? Here's some questions that will inspire some interesting conversation. So let's find a good one. I've heard that. I've heard that a vaccine is in the works, but it hasn't been fully developed yet. So I don't know. You hear a lot of things, and there's a lot of stuff that they say. Um, and then I just read an article this morning that some group has spent $2 billion to bring a vaccine to like poor countries, third world countries and stuff. But again, I don't know. The thing that scares me though, well, it doesn't scare me, but from what I know from how drug processes work, is that there will be a slew of side effects that come from it. So the first like I don't know how I guess the thing is you got to be careful with the process. Is that you definitely want to cure people and you want to give people a vaccine, but at the same time, you've got to be careful about what you do and how you do it because if there's something wrong with it, or you find out that it causes a health comorbidity due to something in that, and you just gave it to everybody in the world as quickly as possible, then that's not ethically responsible. So you have to, even though it sounds cruel, you really have to be cautious and careful about how you go about administering it to people because if they do, it does cause a side effect, you know. So I don't know. Again, just my opinion, but from what I've seen and how they do stuff, um, you got to be cautious. Um, so here's a good question for chat and everybody watching. What is your absolute most favorite place that you have ever been? It could be on vacation, it could have been however you got there, but what is your absolute most favorite place that you have ever been in your life so far? Yeah, it is. I agree. And again, chat, question for the day so far is what is your most favorite place in the world that you have ever been? Be it vacation, whatever it was, what is your most favorite place? Dubai and Jordan. Dubai is a pretty poppin' place, I can tell you that. That's it. Yeah, that's a pretty good spot. It's a little bit of everything. It's like a supersized Las Vegas. That's a good spot. I'm gonna say honestly, there's two places in the world that I can remember just looking at, and you know where when you visit somewhere and just it's so the environment is just so amazing to look at, be it structurally or just nature or whatever it is. And the two places that are coming to mind are Mount Rainier, Washington, right? Because certain times of the year it's just so freaking green and it's so I don't know, like when you're in a forest and you can smell like just the trees and the pine like I don't know, it's just something about it that's it's an experience. And then the other place would be if you're standing at the top of Diamond Head, Hawaii, and you look to the right, you can see the harbor in Waikiki, and you can just see the Waikiki beaches and everything. And that is just such a cinematic view if you're there on the right day and you can see it at the right time. That those are probably the two like when you see something that your mind is trying to process and you just have that weird feeling. But oh, I would, yeah, Zeus, I think Japan would be a very interesting place to go to. Um, yeah, I think that would be very interesting. I would obviously want to go with someone who can both speak Japanese and who is a local. Just that way they could help guide you through the process. But yeah, I think that could be said for anywhere though, even if it's in the country that you're from, is that if you're going to a place that you don't fully that you aren't familiar with or you aren't from, if you at all have the opportunity to experience it with someone who lives there, it's probably going to be a better experience than just trying to do it yourself. I would say that would be the good running process for that. Yeah, although there are things this day and age that do a game changer. I mean, you have like Google Translate. Like there, the best example I've ever seen is there's that. 90 Day Fiance show or something like that, and there's one of the guys on there that literally only communicates to this girl, and they're either in Thailand or somewhere, but he literally only communicates to this girl that he met online through Google Translate. And so he talks, and then it says the thing, and then she says the thing back, and it's really awkward, but it's effective. I mean, they make it work. And so, even somebody who, because I think he's like from corn-fed Nebraska or some, very midwestern state in the U.S. And then, um, she's obviously from Thailand or wherever it is that they're at. But yeah, they made it work. And so, this day and age is a little bit different. Um, which makes me think, have you ever seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? There's that fish thing that they put in their ear so you can fully understand all languages and things like that. Um, we're rapidly approaching the day and age where we can have something like that. Something that the language that you hear versus the language that you speak somehow change or modulate. Um, yeah, thanks for all the fish. That's it. I was talking about that, guys. All right, the books are amazing, right? The books are very good. But how do you feel about that movie? Do you feel like the movie missed the mark? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they managed to squeeze in there, but do you feel like the movie was a little disjointed and didn't do it service? What's your opinion of the movie? I think they were good, but there was a lot of stuff that they left out. It's kind of like if you've ever read the old yeah, the Zeus, I think you hit it on the head right there. I think that's the exact thing. That's how I felt about it. It was good. Enjoyed seeing certain things come to life. It was just they missed a few um, marks on that, in my opinion. But yeah, um, what about well, it kind of if you ever read the Roald Dahl books on like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda and all those games or not games movies, because the books are like there's actually I want to say four different books about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. There's quite a few different books about it. There's one about the elevator, there's one about the original story, there's one about what happens after the fact. It's very fascinating. There's a heck of a lot more to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory than what you see in that film. And even in the film, they left out a lot of the stuff about what happened and things like that. Yeah, you're both right. Getting the translating all of it into a 2 hour film. They did take some. Here's the thing, guys, and you guys tell me how you feel about this, right? What's the thought process behind if you have like a book or a comic book or something and they translate it into a movie and they're going to make it, but they don't stay true to the source material and they start taking creative liberties? Is that a big deal to you, or are you just happy to be able to see whatever it is brought to the big screen? What's your guys' opinion on that? Because there are certain things to me that are really frustrating when they make a movie. Like prime example, the Assassin's Creed movie that came out with Michael Fassbender. Um, that was horrible. Like that was atrocious for anybody who has played Assassin's Creed. That did an insulting disservice to Assassin's Creed. It was very video or Hollywood movie like, but it had not like hardly had anything to do with Assassin's Creed other than the outfit. But what do you guys think? Yeah, if it helps. Yeah, but if they like completely change a character or a gender or something, is that a big deal to you, or is that, you know? So Zeus says he'd be excited to see the movie. He says if he'd have read the book and he liked it, he'd be excited to see the movie and would have big expectations because of the book. But then Phil says It helps with the flow of the film. I get it. Like cutting a character out just to keep it simple. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I I'll tell you what I really wish they had made a movie about. And what I was frustrated about was the Desmond series of Assassin's Creed because they basically patterned the characters around real life people. They look just like their voice actors practically. So again, I'm asking myself, why would they not just simply make that into a movie? Because it's everything you would need to be a movie. It's not anything special. It's not that you would need extra special effects. So just make a movie about Assassin's Creed 1 through what is it? 4, I think. 3 or 4 where Desmond finally meets his untimely end. But again, I agree. I think the first three Assassin's Creeds were phenomenal. I think they were great. I think they started to get a little muddy in the water with those ones in the middle, like Brotherhood and some of the other ones. Um, but again, the Desmond series of Assassin's Creed, I think that was the best ones. But they they stumbled and they fell when that ended. I don't know. Is there a second one? I thought there was only a that one that they made with Michael Fassbender. Yeah, Phil, I'm in the same boat, and like ever since 3, when they went off the rails, I just have not. It just hasn't been the same. It hasn't been connected. The story hasn't been there. It's very loosely. You know how they say inspired by a true story, but it has nothing to do with the original story. That's how I feel it is about. The only things that tie it to it is it says assassins in it. Like that's it. That's the only relevancy. And like how far they've strayed away from the original, of like, oh, just give him a arm blade and that's it, and we'll be good. Just give the guy an arm blade. Like, no, there's a lot more to it than that. But nope. He could be a Viking or a conquistador, or he could be anything out of history, but just put his yeah. I know, right? And that's the thing. That's what's so frustrating is that they do these trailers. Yeah, Ivan, I was just talking to Elephant last night about that too, and literally I'm in the same boat. Uh 3 was my absolute favorite. And so, what's funny to me though, right, guys, is that there's people who really hate 3. Like they thought it was disjointed, the characters were developed, like they hate it. There's a lot of different things that I've read that people didn't like about 3, which I didn't have that experience. I liked 3. I thought 3 was great. 3 is probably the only one that I have truly played everything all the way through. See, that's what I heard too. That's what people told me, Phil. Which I don't. Again, I don't understand how he was boring per se. I mean, he didn't have a lot. It wasn't so much Connor, but it was the things that were happening around Connor. But I liked 3 because of all the things you could do. You could craft the different things. It had a very Red Dead Redemption vibe to it, where you could craft the stuff, you could build your character out. You had to really strategize on how you're going to do things and then go from there. So I liked those components of it. And it made the game a little bit fuller than just a go and assassinate this guy and stuff. So I don't know. The other two are good, but they're very limiting in what you can and can't do. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed all of them. You know, but again, after Desmond died, right? It the storyline ceased to exist, and then like Black Flag was loosely related to it. Like they're trying to find his relatives to go and find something, right? The whole outside the Animus part of that game, which was annoying, mind you. And then ever since then, it's just been like a loose thread that they've been trying to weave through the whole process. And I don't know. I've not enjoyed it. They haven't ever tied it back. I'll tell you how you would revive it, though, right? If they really, really cared and they really, really wanted to bring back the story and bring it to completion, find a way to directly link back up with the Desmond storyline. Like pick up exactly where it left off and then continue that story. Right? Desmond may be dead or they revive him or do something, but bring Desmond back or Desmond's relate you know, directly circled around that area and then can finish the series out and then set yourself up because that's the thing too. Like if it was a fact if they wanted to transition to another type of thing, that's fine. But the way they ended it was just poor. You know, be like, okay, Desmond's off doing this, but while this is happening over here. So make it a spin-off, but you can't just be like, oh, Desmond's dead, and now we're just gonna pick it up and be random with it. Yeah, Ivan, I think you hit it exactly. They just keep throwing things at the wall, and I think what they also did, right? And this sounds cruel, but I swear at Ubisoft, they have like one of those spinny wheels, right? And they keep putting everything that's popular up on the wheel, right? And so right now they've got Vikings, they've got Game of Thrones, they've got what are the major franchises that are up and running, right? And so they keep putting the things on that wheel, and then they spin the wheel, right? And whatever it stops on is what they're going to make the next Assassin's Creed game. And so this one, it was like tick 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 Vikings. And so they're like, well, Vikings are popular. So what we want to do is we want the whole development team to go to Norway, hang out for a little while, and then we want you all to watch nothing but Vikings and The Last Kingdom for the next 6 years. And then we want you to take that concept and turn it into an Assassin's Creed game. So basically, just take Vikings, the TV show, slap on an arm blade and a hood, and then move out. And that's how everything will fill out. And so I'm almost guaranteed that's what happened because when you play the game, if you guys haven't played the game yet, I think it's still worth getting. It's a fun game so far. It's just not an Assassin's Creed game as far as I'm concerned yet. Again, I've only played an hour, so I can't speak to it. But if you play it, you'll see it's just Vikings, the TV show, like cliche to the max. Vikings, the TV show, and they slapped on an arm blade and a hood, and they called it a day. So I don't know, guys. Dude, Far Cry. I don't know. I enjoyed Far Cry. I think where they missed the mark though was that what was it? Far Cry 4, right? The one that's in the like Montana area, and then the one that came out after that where they just reskinned it completely, put neon coloring on it, and shot it out of a cannon at people. Yeah, Red Dead is phenomenal. I think they need to continue with the Red Dead series in regards to that. But the Red Dead Online is awful. Like I don't like the online part, but the game itself is amazing. So again, um, that's enjoyable. The Terminator, dude. I'm trying to think of which guy from Terminator. Oh, the one with the cult is the one I'm talking about. They had like the cult in Montana and stuff like that. Oh, I don't know. It's probably the same one we're talking about. Yeah, the new Spider-Man looks amazing. Like it looks fun. Like I've been watching some of the trailers and stuff for it. It looks amazing. Like people are running out to try to get PS5s just to be able to play it. And so, yeah, it looks great. I think uh, I'm frustrated that I don't have a PlayStation, and I may end up having to get one just because of games like that. And like that's the frustration I have is that these game platforms that only have like they're unique to the platform, and I get it. It's marketing. It's going to make me go out and buy one. Yeah, Disease, I'm in the same boat. As soon as the price goes down, I'll probably go out and buy one. But it frustrates me that I have to do that because it should be cross-platform for everything. But I get it. It's marketing. They're going to make their money. They're going to get us all. But yeah, that's how it works. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, we'll all get there one day. I don't know. Will we though? Because from a company standpoint of making money, right? It's all about having a niche market where a market of something that nobody else has and they have to buy your product in order to get it. So from a standpoint of you know making money, I don't know. What do you guys think though? All right, so here we're gonna do some funny questions, right? And you guys tell me what you think. Oh, the digital versus standard editions. Here's, honestly, uh, yeah, there's a ton of stuff you can't get on console. So, Zeus, I think I understand it, and honestly, like for me, I would probably end up going with the digital version, just because I don't everything I do, I don't ever go to like GameStop and get games, but I the $100 price tag difference, I think there needs to be a little bit more of a gap between the two of those because the standard edition, yeah, Ivan, I think that's a good point actually. Well, also too, right? The digital version does not have a CD drive, so you will not be able to like go and get cheap games. Um, so that kind of eliminates you in that regard, and the standard does. So, or is more money. So I don't know. It's very the price difference between the two. I think needs to be a little bit broader though. See, I don't really have that much of an impact as far as the CD part, but I do like the concept of being able to, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I guarantee you could go over to GameStop right now and somebody turned it in because they didn't like it, and you can get it like $10 off the price. Whereas you have no way of doing that right now with digital stuff. But that made me think too, though, if there was a way for GameStop type games to function, right? That concept of if I don't like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and I have a digital copy, I can trade it in for something else, right? But that would be my question. Is that would that be something worthwhile? I like the concept of a bartering system, right? Like I have this CD disc code that can only be registered to one computer at a time. So I could, in theory, uninstall it and trade that to someone, that disc code, for a game. But once I trade it, that's it. I've lost all connection and property to it. But I don't know. That's just my thought with it. Yeah, Ivan. I mean, that's kind of the way of the world. If it's PC, it's going to be through Steam or some other platform, and then if it's uh, console, then it's going to be basically through whatever that company's thing is. That's what they're going to end up making you do. So that's kind of the way it's. We've come a long way from the analog version of like the actual program is on the disc. Um, you know, that's that's kind of how we've evolved. But I guess that brings up a good question, right? Is that fair to people, right? Because consoles used to be the thing of that. Well, yeah, and that's the point I'm trying to make here is that with consoles in the past and even PCs in the past, right, prior to needing to be connected to the internet, you could play your game and do whatever you want, and the whole multiplayer concept was not a thing. But in evolving, right, to where we can have massive multiplayer onlines and all this other stuff, we've gotten away from the ability to just simply play with no internet connection. Like you have to be connected to the internet in most cases to play a game, unless you go back to old analog stuff. So, again, is that fair? Is it right? Because you may be in a place where you don't have the internet. So, what have you got to do? You got to get an old PlayStation 2 or an old Nintendo, and that's all you can play because there's so many things that you literally cannot play if you're not online. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that I mean, I feel like there needs to be an offline and an online option, right? Because for people who literally do not have an internet connection or even a stable one, like For instance, if you cannot afford more than like a dial-up internet level service, you're not going to be able to play your games online, and that is to me it almost feels like it's discriminating against people because you can't play them unless you got a stable internet connection. You know. So again, I don't know. What do you guys think about that concept? Yeah, it really is. It's kind of a kick in the nuts. And I think it's discriminating against a whole demographic of people who can't afford to have fiber or whatever it is. Well, because I mean, let's think about it like this, right? You're a very low income family, right? And you have internet just because you have like dial up internet, which is cheap, ish. But I mean, it could be a lot for you. And then let's just say you save up, and you get a place, the new PlayStation, right? Somehow, some way, you manage to save up and get it, and you give it to your kid, or it's for yourself, or whatever. But then you find out that everything that you're trying to do with it, you can't really use it because you don't have an internet connection that allows you to do it, or it causes you to have overages, which jacks up your rate to the point where you literally cannot plug that thing into the wall and play it. I mean, that just doesn't seem fair to me, and it doesn't seem right because it's basically only allowing people who have certain things and a certain quality of life to be able to do things. I just don't think it's. I don't know. Personally, I don't think that's fair or it's right, but you guys could disagree. What do you think? What do you think? Yeah, it is. It's just there's not a whole lot of offline games. You know what I mean? You have to be connected for a lot of things. Like, for instance, Ark, right? The dinosaur survival game. You can play Ark without. You don't need anybody to play Ark, right? It's PVE in a lot of cases, but you still have to have an internet connection to be able to connect to a server to play it. Or like Red Dead. You can play it, but there's a lot of components to it that are linked to Rockstar Online. So if you don't have a connection, you know, then I don't know. I'll tell you, Ivan, I think what would be a good way for them to include marketing, right, is that if you have a console, then you know how you do like Xbox Live or PlayStation Online or whatever it's called? Uh, include in your package an internet connection. Like it's the gaming, yeah. But I mean, it's like somebody who has a low income that gets a very used and old Rolls Royce. You got your hands on a Rolls Royce, you can't afford to maintain it. You can't afford to drive it really because if something breaks on it, then that's it. You're screwed. But you got it, you know. You saved up and you got it. Yeah, and some internet is going to be capped too. But again, I think a cool way to do it that would allow you to be inclusive is if like Xbox Unlimited. This is what it came with. It came with a console. It came with Xbox Game Pass, and then it came with an internet connection that was good enough to get everything done. And so that was all inclusive. People would be flocking to that, right? And it really would only be. Here's the catch, though. Here's the catch. It's only good enough to run that, like the company itself. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the company itself is connected, but it only connects to that box. So it wouldn't be good enough to like you couldn't like get a PlayStation or an Xbox and run your whole house off the internet. It's only for that gaming unit, right? But that would solve the problem and allow everybody to be on the same level playing field because you would have a connection to the local internet provider. It would run as a router through that console, and it would allow people to have an internet connection all inclusive with the package, and it would also establish brand loyalty because they could argue and work with the companies to get different little things going on. But I think that would be a remarkable idea on that, like it would give you everything that you need. Hey, what's up, Deetram? We're talking about PlayStations and internet connections and Xboxes for everybody that just tuned in. And so basically, what we're talking about is, when. Yeah, I know, right? That is, don't you think that would be a good idea, though? So basically, the concept of what I'm talking about, guys, is how you have yeah, and you could set the console price. You could even it out, but make it a monthly agreement as well. But basically, the concept would be like you have Xbox Unlimited or you have PlayStation Online. And so when you get that, yeah, I know they've watched. They've already stole it. Watch, they're going to launch it out. Hey, you heard it here first, everybody. You heard it here. Yeah, here's the concept I'm proposing though, right? So you have those unlimited packages where you pay a certain monthly rate, right? Just like Netflix. But in that package includes the console, a controller, a access to the online gaming pass thing, whatever that has multiple games, and then it has free games, but it also has an upsell. But then also too, you would have an included internet connection with a service provider local to you, and you could have different options you could choose. But the box itself functions as a router, but it's only good enough to function on that gaming platform itself. So if you did want to stream or do other things, you could do it from the console, but it doesn't have like where you could wire it out to run your whole house. But do that. Have you could have different, you could have like a standard gold and platinum package, right? That increases the speed of your internet. But the base core package would be enough to run internet and be able for you to do your stuff at a low, affordable monthly rate for anyone to be able to play, and then go from there. And you could tweak the price of the consoles, you could tweak the price of the monthly rate, whatever you want to do. But I feel like that would bring the most amount of equality, allow the most amount of people to play without, generalizing or discriminating against those that don't have the ability to afford the other stuff. So I don't know. That's my thought. I think that would be a cool way to do it. I think it would be an awesome way for them to increase their brand loyalty and be able to increase what they do, but also accomplish the ability of equality. So I don't know. What do you think? Does that sound like a crazy idea? Does that sound like something that's pretty good? I mean, what do you think? Because I think that's the biggest problem is that these consoles cost $400 to $500, and for a low income family, you might be able to get the box because you saved up. But then the internet required to be able to run it and play it and do all the other stuff is going to be at least $100 a month, right? So a lot of people just are not able to afford what they need to afford to be able to do what they want to do. And so I just don't think that's fair. I mean, and then again, I understand that it is a game, it is a pleasure device, it is not something that is required for human life. But at the same time, though, I feel like there does need to be a little bit of equality to it. Yeah, remember that. So you hate the fact that a year of being able to use the router you already pay for is the same price as a new game. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing though, right? Here's the thing. There's always going to be bigger, better. You can do whatever you want individually, right? But I am talking about the individual. So it is an equal playing field. If you make an affordable living wage, you should be able to do this. And so this would create that environment where if I have got, I'm a guy who's working a minimum wage job, my wife, or if I'm single or whatever, but I've got kids, whatever, it allows me that even in my status where I am really, really tight on my budget, I'm still able to have these things to be able to afford and have the same ability to play and do things that others do too, right? Now, I might be able to only afford the standard package, and the platinum or the gold package or whatever the heck you want to pattern it as might be better than mine, but mine is at least the minimum amount required ability to play, um, and maintain. I think that I don't know. That's my opinion. I think that would be a cool way to do it, and that could also de a lot of the stuff that we get frustrated with, like internet service providers and TV service providers and all these guys, it would be able to help integrate it, right? They would have to be That was the thing. They would have to integrate with the speed and everything to make sure that it functioned. Otherwise, it wouldn't work, right? And so that would almost regulate the industry in some ways to make sure that they did it. So I don't know. That's my thought on it. Um. All right. Here's a question for you, chat. Here's something. We'll see how you feel about it. Is cereal a soup? Why or why not is cereal a soup? Go. Yeah, Ivan, I think it would regulate. Uh Deetram, you say milk is soup or cereal is soup, and your reasoning is milk is broth. So, DeZeus, cereal soup? Why or why not? That's the question. Is cereal soup? Why or why not? That's the question. Why or why not? Deejrum says yes, it is because milk is broth. What's anybody got a counter argument to that? Does anybody have Does anybody have a counter argument to is cereal soup? Okay, Dezeus, why is cereal not soup? And again, there are cold soups, there's hot soups, there's soups with chunks, there's soups without chunks. Why is cereal not a soup, Dezeus? True. I mean, I guess the question is what makes a soup, right? Like, what makes a soup? It's something with a base, right? Like a broth, to Dietram's point. It has something in it as far as that has substance. And then it can either be hot or cold because there are cold soups like gazpacho. So I'm going to have to side with Dietram. Technically, milk is pasteurized in most countries. So milk has technically been boiled and cooked. And then you would put cereal, which is also a cooked item, into the milk, right? So it would be technically a cooked thing. So I don't know. That's a good argument, though, right? Okay, I've got a second one. Here's a second one, chat, everybody. So, is a hot dog a sandwich? Is a hot dog a sandwich? Technically, okay, let's think about it. Think about this, right? A sandwich is typically two pieces of bread and some kind of filler, be it meat, cheese, or something in between with some condiments on it. So, in that line of question reasoning, technically, a hot dog would be a sandwich, would it not? It's two pieces of bread and well, here's an argument though. Technically, it's one piece of bread. It's sandwiched in a bun, but it's technically not two pieces of bread. Yeah, yeah, I can see. Yeah, and like technically, right, the sandwiches you get at Subway, right, exactly to Dietrich's point, are all it's one piece of bread sliced, but it's still considered a sandwich. So, ooh, taco. Technically, though, a a corn tortilla. I don't know. I guess that's the question I'm asking though. Would that make the hot dog not a sandwich or would make it a sandwich depending on if the bread's still connected? Like if you took the hot dog bun and completely separated it and then did it, would that make it a sandwich? Or if it's connected, does that play any relevancy? But technically, okay, so the taco is a taco a sandwich? That's another good line of questioning. So does a corn tortilla or a flour tortilla count as a piece of bread? Right? Because if so, then yes, I would say, right? Because it's the same concept of it's a piece of bread with a filler and then something on it. Now, okay, well, is a burrito a sandwich then? Because it's rolled. It's not sandwiched, it's rolled. So is that the cutoff? Is that what we're calling it, right? Is that yeah? I mean, technically anything that's got something sandwiched in between it would in theory be a sandwich, right? Now, does it have to be a bread item? Does it have to be made out of some kind of carbohydrate based bread, or could you argue that you are making a sandwich? If I take two pieces of lettuce, right, and I sandwich them together and I treat it like a sandwich, but it's lettuce, is that technically a sandwich, or is that not a sandwich because it's not bread? What do we think, chat? What's our thought process? Because technically, are we counting a sandwich as the act of sandwiching something? Or are we counting the sandwich a sandwich based on that is a bread item that has got some kind of filler in between the two pieces or single piece? That's the question I pose to you. Yeah, that's a good point, Deetram, actually. Yeah, that's a really good point. Subway technically does not have bread because it's legally not uh, made of what is considered bread. So, hey, what's up, Imalax? So that is the question. Thanks for joining, by the way. So the question posed to everyone the question posed to everyone is, well, the original question was, is a hot dog a sandwich, right? That's the original question. But then also now too, the question is, what makes a sandwich? Is it A, the act of sandwiching something, right? So you take whatever it is, no matter what it is, and you put something in between the two, or is it the act of a bread item sandwiching something in between them? So that's the question posed to the group. So what do we think? What are the opinions on this? Right? This is a very important topic that will change the world, obviously. My personal opinion. Yeah. My personal opinion is, right? For the sake of not going down a crazy rabbit hole, is hang on, all right, let's pull up the sandwich chart real quick with that Deetram shared with us. Okay, here we go. This is a good one, actually. Deetram, thanks for sharing this. Let's change over to this. Okay, so Deetram or Utterly Strange has shared with us the the sandwich chart, which will help us in our decision making, right? So it has to be food. That's a guarantee, right? It has to be food. So then you have the structure purist, and then the ingredient rebel, and then the the hierarchy of this. So over here you have the hardline traditionalists, right? Which a bacon, lettuce, tomato, a BLT is a sandwich, right? You've got your bread, you've got your filler. The ingredients are sandwich-like based, right? Then you have your structure neutrals, right? So technically we have ice cream taco on the ingredients rebel side, right? So yeah, I'm going to say, for the sake of this argument, everybody, that uh, one, it has to be a sandwich relevant thing. So, some kind of lunch meat or something to that equivalent in there. I'm looking at this as far as like, what I don't know what a chip buddy is, but it looks like pieces of pineapple, tomato, and something stuck in between a sandwich, and that looks crazy. Yeah, Pop Tart and everything like that. I don't know. I guess that is the question, though, right? Are we going to count a burrito as a sandwich, guys? Is a burrito a sandwich? Because here's the thing: is it in that same note too? Is a okay, chip buddy is a sandwich made with chips on buttered white bread or a bread roll, often with added condiments such as brown sauce, ketchup, mayonnaise, or malt vinegar. A chip buddy can be found in fish and chip shops and other casual dining establishments in the United Kingdom. Okay, so a wrap. A wrap is not a sandwich. Is that what the group is? So we can agree. We can all agree that a wrap is not a sandwich. Okay. So then, is a burrito a sandwich? Because it's the same concept. It's not sandwiched. So we're taking a sandwich as the act of actually sandwiching. Because that's the two different categories that we're looking at. Okay, guys, is one is a sandwich the act of actually sandwiching, right? You are sandwiching something between, right? So it doesn't matter what it is, right? It could be bread or not bread or something, but your act of sandwiching. Or is a sandwich a bread item that is encompassing some kind of meat and something like that? No worries, Disease. Thanks for tuning in. I'll fill you back in on what we end up defining a sandwich. But yeah, that's the question, because the original question was obviously, is a hot dog a sandwich? Which by our definition, even from either side, a hot dog is a sandwich. So Emiliax, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I apologize. I'll try to get better at it. So they're saying it's the first one, the act of sandwiching. So as long as you correct, right? Make sure I'm correct on that I'm quoting you correctly. The act of sandwiching, you are taking two items and you are sandwiching something together, thus making a sandwich. So even by that logic, a chicken wrap is not a sandwich and a burrito is not a sandwich. However, that would mean, technically though, that an ice cream taco is a sandwich and a Pop-Tart is a sandwich, because it is the act of sandwiching two things together with something caught in the middle. It also means that an ice cream between waffles is a sandwich. What say we, chat? Ice cream taco's a taco. Yeah, but technically, right, it is enclosing two things between, so if you're going down the argument of the act of sandwiching is what makes a sandwich, technically it's sandwiching. So, well, the one in the picture, hang on, right here. This one right here in the picture is not wrapped. That's enclosing. You're closing in. So that's the same concept as a Subway sandwich right here. This and this have the same level of closing. Technically, all three right here. One connected piece, but something is sandwiched in the middle. So that's the argument, guys. I would be inclined to agree with the concept that it is the act of sandwiching, because there's just so many different types of things that you can create a quote unquote sandwich with outside of bread. But back to the lettuce argument. If I take two pieces of lettuce but create a something that goes in between them, but I'm using the lettuce as my bread item, then technically that's a sandwich, right? But it's when you get into the world of that it's wrapped or that it's anything that is not sandwiching that when we get out of there. Yeah, and Deetram, I would argue that ingredients don't matter. It's just the act of sandwiching, right? So can we all agree? Are we all in agreement? Does anyone have a counter argument? Does anyone have a counter argument on why that would not, the act of sandwiching is what makes a sandwich, not the bread item? Because the bread, quote unquote, could be any particular item. It's the act of sandwiching two pieces of whatever it is that is functioning as your quote unquote bread, something in the middle. Yeah, I agree. All right, I think we've successfully solved this one, guys. I think we have successfully solved this mystery, and we now know that not only is a hot dog a sandwich, but we now have a hierarchy set in place to be able to judge future things and to be able to determine if certain things are a sandwich or not. So now, what I ask you to do is take this knowledge and go out. Yeah, we know Pop-Tarts are ravioli, but technically ravioli is a sandwich. So Pop-Tarts are technically a sandwich. It's the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? I mean, technically. Technically. But could we argue that since a Pop Tart is frosted, that it ceases to be a sandwich? Hmm? Because on a traditional sandwich, you wouldn't put a sauce on top of it. Once a Pop Tart is frosted, it ceases to become. You have now. It's like that would be like making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but putting peanut butter on the top of the sandwich. Is it still a sandwich, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, if you have basically taken peanut butter and put it on the top? Is it art? I mean that's one argument, right? I don't know. Chat, what say you? Yeah, but the toothpick would be an olive is a garnish, right? Yeah, some people melt cheese on the top of their sandwich. That is true. Okay. All right. These are the questions I'm trying to ask. All right. So as of right now, a Pop Tart is a sandwich. According to what we have deduced, a Pop Tart is a sandwich. All right. That sounds like something we can agree on. Yeah, that's true. Bread can have a glaze layer or a topping. All right. I think you guys are right. I didn't say it wasn't legal. I was just putting out an argument there, Dietram. No, I didn't write it down. I was just looking up. I was just Googling something else. Oh my God, it's funny. Uh, all right, guys. I think we have figured it out. Let's see. Is a hot dog sandwich? Yep. Sorry, bud. Probably after the second time, you probably should have said something, but after the 14th, you basically implied agreement. Here's a good one. What part of a kid's movie completely scarred you? So when you think of any children's movie that you've watched, either as a child yourself or now currently, what is a scene out of that movie that scarred you or that you remember to this day as being terrifying or horrible or something like that? I can tell you the one for me, and this will date me on how old I am, but if you've ever seen The Land Before Time, when Littlefoot's mom dies, holy crap. When Littlefoot's mom died, that was a, like, even to me as a small child, that was horrible. Like, that was freaking terrible. Fantastic Mr. Fox when he gets his tail cut off. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Yeah, that was a bad part. What about the rest of us, chat? What scene from a children's movie was the most impact? Oh my God, Ivan, you had to do it. I knew it was going to come up. Fox and the Hound. When two friends grow up and find out why they can't be friends. Dude, to this day, that still hurts my heart. Like, that movie is freaking horrible. It's like one of the Disney classics that I refuse to watch ever again. Like, I've watched it probably twice in my life, and it is just like, and they milk it so freaking bad. Like, let's be friends forever. Okay. And then, ugh. Fox and the Hound. Have you ever seen it, Deetram? Or, excuse me, Utterly Strange. So it's about, yeah, because basically the hound has the requirements basically the hound works for the farmer and the farmer hunts the fox. So then inevitably they come to the scenario where they are out fox hunting and they have to make the hound has to make a choice on either turn in his childhood friend and betray him and let him be killed, or let him slip away but fail his master. And so he basically makes a choice and lets him go away, but clearly defines that it's two different worlds and they cannot coexist. And so he let him slide, but after that, the friendship was over and they could never ever be friends again. And it hits so freaking hard because they literally grew up side by side playing together for the rest of their lives, and it just was it's a real hard hit, man. Like that's a rough kids movie to watch. Like not gonna lie, that is a very rough kids movie. God, Ivan, that's a good one. That is a perfect example. Damn, I just got bummed out because of that. What about the rest of you, chat? Who else is out there? What children's movie had the most impactful scene as far as being either terrifying or having a long lasting effect on you in the the negative fashion? I'll tell you another one is Bambi. When Bambi's mom dies, that's a pretty rough. That's a rough event, man. Little kid going through life with no mom. Dad is MIA. It's pretty scary. Or Dumbo. I'll tell you another one. My mom, my mom always has is Dumbo when the mom elephant reaches out of the bars in the prison car and she holds Dumbo. That used to like tear my mom apart when I was a kid. Like it's sad, man. Oh my god, dude. Yeah, it was pretty rough. What about the rest of you, chat? Anybody out there lurking? What kids movie made such an impact on your life? What was something that scarred you for life from a kids movie? I'm trying to think of my sister. I think Hunchback of Notre Dame was pretty rough on my sister. Ah, I understand that one, Ivan. It's okay. You're part of our family. We love you. But yeah, I know how that one. It's funny how, and Disney has made a killing off of emotional manipulation in regards to that they made a movie for practically every person out there from every walk of life in what situation you would be, right? So you've got Fox and the Hound with friendship and stuff. You've got Sleeping Beauty and all those different ones. But there's going to be that one Disney movie out there that hits you in the feels because they made it that way. They just picked all the different emotional categories and they started knocking them out, right? So everybody that has at least one Disney movie that they identify with, yeah, Jungle Book. I think that last scene of the Jungle Book hit me hard, and it still does. Thinking about it today too, of like where he's talking, and then he sees the girl, and he just goes off into the village and leaves everybody else behind. That one was kind of sad. It was always that like happy ever after, but sadness hidden underneath it part that made Disney movies so impactful in a lot of ways. I'm trying to think of other ones that were super sad. Yeah, he's like, "Oh, there's a chick. Fuck you guys, I'm out." Yeah. That's exactly how it worked, man. It's funny how that happened, but yeah, that's exactly what happened. Um, yeah, it's funny. What other Disney movies, guys? So chat, anybody in chat, what is a Disney movie or a kids movie? It doesn't have to be Disney per se, but what is a kids movie or Disney movie that made such a lasting impact on you as far as scarring you for life? Like or it could be something that was terrifying, something that you found so scary as a kid, or even as an adult. Honestly, I mean, hell, I'm not gonna judge you. Or another question that we could pose to the group is, what movie has legitimately scared the shit out of you? Like, is there a movie out there that you've seen in your lifetime that scared the shit out of you? Like, truly terrified you? I can tell you, I'll give you my perfect example, The Grudge. Oh, yeah, Clayton's death was pretty rough. Yeah, that was an interesting scene there. Yeah. And the shadow. Yes, Ivan, thank you, man. We need to talk about that for a minute, all right? If you guys have not seen Sword in the Stone, it's about Merlin and Arthur in the beginning days. The part where they do this thing where Merlin keeps turning him into different animals, and there's one where he's a fish, and there's one where he turns into a squirrel and he's playing around, and then all of a sudden he meets this girl squirrel, and she is infatuated with him, right? She falls in love with him, and Arthur just trying to get away, stuff like that. So he turns back. Merlin turns him back into a human, and this poor little girl squirrel is just sitting there like sobbing and crying that he's gone because she thought she found her true love. It is such a depressing freaking part, man. Like it is such a bummer. And they even hit you with the sad music and all that stuff too. Yeah, it's fucked up. That's a messed up part. Yes, Ivan, I agree. Holy crap. Yeah, Sword in the Stone, man. That movie is rough. It also ends kind of oddly too, right? Like the way it ends, it just kind of ends. It doesn't. It's almost like they ran out of funding or they like had to get it out and they just launched it because it's very disconnected with the rest of the show. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one, Ivan. That's 2 for 2 today. Um, but yeah, let's go to the scary movie thing. Has anybody watched a scary movie that scared the shit out of them? I'll tell you the example I have. Yeah, Sir Kay. Yeah, ugh. He comes around at the end though. Um, but no, The Grudge for me was the one that scared the shit out of me. I had to sleep with the lights on for about a week after The Grudge. And even to this day, that grudge noise still kind of creeps me out. But yeah, The Grudge, man, that scared the crap out of me. Like truly, freaking terrified my ass. I was freaking scared. And The Grudge 2 is even worse, and I'll tell you why The Grudge 2. Grudge 2, there's a scene where like the girl or it's a guy or somebody is running away from the grudge down this hallway in Japan or something. And so they run in their apartment and they lock the door and they get in bed and they pull the blankets up over their head, right? And we all know there's a universal thing of nothing can get you underneath your safety blanket. That's a rule. That's a law. Well, what happens? The fucking grudge gets this chick or this dude. I can't remember if it's a dude or a chick, but straight up gets them underneath the blanket. Like they're under there, and then all of a sudden the head just goes, bah! And then that's it, man. It's game over. I'm like, dude, that's jacked up, dude. There's rules, there's laws to this universe, and they violated it. And so, yeah, the safety blanket didn't work. Some horse shit. That's like sticking your toe off the edge of your bed, and it's not underneath your blanket, and the boogeyman gets it. I ain't playing that game. Ain't no boogeyman getting my foot. It's not happening. I've been in combat. I've been overseas. I've seen some crazy shit, but ain't no boogeyman getting my foot. I'm making sure my feet are fully covered in that blankie. Ain't getting me. Not gonna happen. Yeah, no feet are allowed to be exposed. That's some horse shit. Anybody who sleeps with their feet outside is reckless. That's some reckless behavior, people. Arachnophobia. What's the one, Ivan? You may remember this. You may not. There's a movie, and I think it's got it's metal spiders, right? The metal spiders come, and I think they come from outer space, and they start killing everybody. And I think it has what's his name? Frank from It's Always Sunny, and Danny DeVito in it. I may be wrong. Uh-uh. The toes are covered. The leg can be out, but there's a rule. The toes have to be covered. KR Johns butting into this conversation. I see you. My feet are always covered. I ain't playing with that boogeyman. Boogeyman can mess with my legs all day long. I don't care. It's the feet. You got to cover your feet with your safety blanket. It's a rule, guys. Be safe. This is a PSA, okay? Listen, everybody. The boogeymen are out there. They're hanging out. You can't see them, but they're out there. So cover your feet with your blanket. That way they don't eat your toes. All right? There's actually a Japanese ghost folklore that it is literally a ghost that nibbles on your toes. Look it up. Hang on. Let me Google it real quick. Let me find it. All right. So it's called. Hang on. All right. So here's 10 horrifying demons. Yes, they are. They're real. They're out there, Kelly. All right. Okay, so it's called this one. So it looks like every culture has one. This one looks like Indian culture where it's Trell, also spelled as Triel. Anyway, so she comes back and she sucks up their life force basically through your feet. So you got to cover it up. Um, I'm all I got to say is, all right, demons licking your toes. Yeah, so every culture pretty much has a thing about a demon, a ghost, a spirit of some kind that either licks or eats your toes or steals your life essence through your feet. So, hence, if every culture's got something in it, we're going to protect ourselves, everybody, and we're going to cover up our feet with a blanket because that's the rules. What's Ivan, what's the background on that? Like why do you not step on or over another person's shoes? So it's kind of like walking under a ladder or see that's what's odd to me, right? Is that in your culture people's feet are very important, but then in cultures like like Middle Eastern culture in a lot of places, it's very rude to show the bottoms of your feet to anyone. So when you sit down, if you show the bottom of your foot, it's considered rude. So that's why you either sit cross-legged with your feet underneath you, or you sit on your knees or something, because it's considered unclean and something else like that. Yeah, hair is very important. I think the Japanese share that same concept with the length of hair. But yeah. All right, here's the creepiest ghost and monster stories from around the world. Night demon, evil creature that stalks the Tanzanian island of Pemba in the Indian Ocean. He looks like a bat. The spirit sexually assaults men. Oh, that's always nice. Girl in the bathroom. In Japan, the schools contain an infernal secret. If you go into the girl's bathroom on the third floor of the building and walk to the third stall, you might find her. Um, so she may have a bloody hand and grab you, or be a lizard that devours you. Um, so her disfigured spirit inhabits bathrooms, asking children who enter the stalls where her legs are. The legend goes if Kashima Riko is not satisfied with her answer, she will rip their legs off. Oh, lovely, because that's not terrifying. You have to go take a crap and then worry about your legs getting ripped off by a ghost. In Brazil, there's one. She's a tall, skinny woman with long yellow fingernails and red eyes. She creeps along rooftops and watches families inside their homes. After everybody goes to sleep, she sits on their chest so they can't move. This is also known as the sleep paralysis demon. Um, yeah, have you guys ever had sleep paralysis? That is freaking insane. It's crazy. That happened to me a couple times. It's really weird. So you have the Mexican folktale of the weeping woman Maria, uh, La Llorona. So we all know about that one. But yeah, man, Folklore is some crazy crap. We come up with some crazy stuff. Yeah, sleep paralysis is wild. It's a huge. I mean, this is wild how that works. Very interesting though. I think there's some Japanese ghost that asks if she's pretty. If you say no, she instantly kills you. If you say yes, she rips open her face or something. Oh, lovely. Yeah, it's great. You know, that's my thing is the Japanese have a ridiculous amount of crazy ass folklore. I mean, their stuff is just insane. Yeah, I think every culture, it's kind of like a lot of religious stuff too, is that every culture has their story that they pass on, and it's very similar to each other. It's just, which one you get. Let's see. Trying to look at some of these topics. Okay, here's one that's interesting. If you die and find out that everyone gets to choose a 12-foot by 12-foot square to stay in alone for eternity without being able to influence or contact the living world, what 12-foot by 12-foot square would you choose? Like, where would be your 12-foot by 12-foot eternity square? Playboy Mansion. Is that even still a thing? With Hugh Hefner being dead, is that still a thing? Yeah, the Playboy Mansion, is that still a thing? Hugh Hefner's dead now, so did they sell the mansion? Is that still like, is it still the Playboy of what? So it's 12 foot by 12 foot. So you have a 12 foot by 12 foot cube, basically. Um, where would your cube be if for all eternity you're just in this 12 foot by 12 foot place? Yeah, it's a cube, hence a cube. You'd be in an aircraft. I think it's more of like location, I think, right? I think the question delves in. Yeah, but you'd never get to go outside of it. You'd always just be in that aircraft. So it wouldn't matter, right? I like where your head's at, but you're not able to leave the plane. So it really wouldn't matter where it is because your whole eternity would be inside of a cockpit or like in the cabin. And I mean, that's like spending eternity in a Greyhound bus. That might suck. I mean, you know how many crazy ass people you're gonna run into? Well, that's what I mean, though. Like, you could be like, "Hey, I want to be a 12-foot by 12-foot spot in Waikiki Beach, or I want to be a 12-foot by 12-foot spot in Mount Rushmore," or you know what I mean? Like, you pick a spot where more people would be coming in every day, or something like that, right? Or pick a mountainside in Montana, or top of Mount Fuji, or Mount Everest, or I don't know, something. You could do those locations to where you would still be able to see people all the time. You wouldn't be able to interact with them, but that would be your cube that you would live in. Or Times Square. You could be in Times Square and see everything, all the craziness, or somewhere in Malibu, or you know, just thoughts where you could be. You wouldn't want to be the lonely ghost that stands on top of the mountain. Well, Ivan, you and I are a little different. At the top of a mountain by myself doesn't sound too bad. But then, that's what's funny though, right, Ivan, is that you live in a very, like, where you live is not densely populated, right? And then you want to be in a city, whereas where I'm at is pretty densely populated, and I just want to be alone on the top of a mountain. That's what's funny to me is the difference. But all right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Unless anybody in chat has anything they want to add to the table or anything else they want to talk about, we can do open forum real quick if you want to. Anything you want to chat about real quick. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and call the stream. Last call for topics. Alrighty. That sounds like people. Big Homeboy redeemed Hydrate for 500. Alrighty. Oh, BG, my bad. All right, there's your Hydrate. All right, everybody. Well, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I'm definitely kind of getting back on it in the saddle on this stuff. We kind of took a break, but I'll continue to do this. So every Sunday at around 10 o'clock, we're going to try to continue to do the podcast. We'll chat about some stuff. So as you tune in, if you want to bring in your topics or anything else you want to do, again, thank you all for taking part in the "is a hot dog a sandwich" argument, because I think that'll be able to help us all shut down some weird conversations later into the future. So again, in recap, a sandwich is the act of sandwiching two pieces of something that are functioning as a quote unquote bread with an internal filler. So that would be a sandwich. So technically, ravioli and Pop Tarts are a sandwich. Also, tacos. It's when they turn into a burrito or something like that that they cease to be a sandwich. So take that knowledge, go forth, and conquer. Again, I want to thank you all for taking part in this. Thank you all for chatting. Please take care of yourselves. Remember, mental health matters. So we'll transition over some resources and some stuff that you can use here in a minute. If you're on YouTube, again, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to continue with this kind of content. And then we will continue with that. Ivan says, when somebody asks your favorite sandwich, you can now say a Pop-Tart. Thank you, Ivan. And thank you, everybody, for taking in part. Hope you guys have a great, wonderful rest of your Sunday. And we will catch you on the flip side. Take care, everybody.